This is a very extensive list and goes back to before the VFW was founded. So if you have a cannon from the Spanish-American War, it's on the list. Weapons and equipment of but consist of but is not limited to rifles, pistols, mortars, artillery, tanks, vehicles, aircraft, missiles, aircraft carriers, etc. from any time period. I know there are posts that have weapons they inherited from another post when they combined or when some other post closed or donated to another post when the post could not and no longer maintain the items. Please do not try to hide this, as all weapons and equipment not accounted for will be reported to the FBI and BATF as stolen military equipment. The items will just be properly transferred to your district post. One of their favorite things BATF does at gun shows, if somebody sells a body armor or a helmet, something that's even theirs, they just arrest you. They just hate America. You see, the United States previously reveled in the fact that in Europe, read Thomas Jefferson, all the founders, in Europe, the people weren't even allowed to own swords, weren't allowed to own muskets, much less tanks and cannon. Tanks weren't invented until World War I, but you get my point. Now we have all this. It's pure Americana, pure liberty, libertà, that these weapons were served out when they were, quote, obsolete to the local militias that then the VFW grew out of. Homeland Security lists you as a #1 terrorist. I mean, in fact, when I finish reading this document, and we show them the inventory form, search engine for folks out there in case they just now tuned in and are watching on prisonplanet.tv or never heard this show before, listening on the radio. Google for folks, veterans listed as #1 terror threat by Homeland Security. We'll show you the document because I know a lot of you are new and you're going to say it isn't real. Doesn't matter if it was in hundreds of newspapers and we broke it. Okay. I am hopeful that I will not need to remind anyone of the severity of punishment that can be administered or the legal bills resulting from individuals or elected officers, if on post property, of the post having possession of stolen military weapons, which the government gave them. We have till January 31st, 2009 to report the U.S. Army TACOM. July. We have until July 31st, 2009 to report the U.S. Army TACOM. Please submit your inventory list as soon as possible so I can mark your post district off our list. And see, this is about the bureaucracy of list of veterans and veterans reporting on themselves. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call me. Thanks for your help on this matter. Dan West, Sergeant, USMC retired, Assistant Adjunct, Department of Texas Veterans of Foreign Affairs. This is the New World Order. Show them the inventory list. Click on the other document. Here's the inventory list for everybody out there. So you can list that 100-year-old, 150-year-old cannon that's spiked out front. And don't worry, the state of Texas is listing its cannons out front from the Texas independence. Those things are like crosses to vampires. They hate our liberty teeth so much. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. So they give it to you, they push it, just like they tell the troops. Remember the 60-plus billion, it was 20 billion, then 40 billion, then 60-plus billion in pallets of $100 bills? And they would give every private 10, 20, 30 grand a year. They'd give colonels millions, generals untold millions, stolen loot. But later they'd say, now you're part of the corruption. If you report on any of this, it was being done by the White House, you're going to be in trouble. Well, this is how they're going to corrupt the VFW. Oh, you don't know where that rifle came from. Well, just agree to report on other members of the VFW that don't like the president. I mean, they admit in the Department of Homeland Security documents that go out nationwide, they're spying on veterans, gun owners. We're the #1 threat to their criminal activity. Let's go ahead and go to calls. I said I want to hear from people at VFW who've gotten this or who are veterans or VFW members. Okay? Roger in Missouri, you're on the air. Go ahead. Can we go to the caller? There, yeah, go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, thanks for reporting on this. I do have to correct you on one thing. I was instrumental in getting a Marine Corps League started about 7 years ago, and we do military funerals, and we did apply and got M1 Garand rifles from the U.S. government, and they was very specific about it. And
sir, you're not listening to me. Sir, hold on. You didn't hear a word I said. Not a word I said. I said this has been in the last 15, 20 years they do this. The government gifted those Civil War cannons to...
Yes, sir.
Look, I'm going to tell you something. This is new. I know that, so you're not correcting me. Go ahead.
Well, all I wanted to say was when they sent us the weapons, they did say they was loaned. They didn't say that they was given to us.
No, I know. I'm saying now they're telling you that. I understand.
Okay. All right. But I'm also a lifetime member of VFW in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, home of Papa Rush Limbaugh. I have just made an urgent call to my commander.
Stay there, sir. And I wasn't trying to be rude to you. I just want to be specific. I know they do this now. I'm saying that's the contract trick. And they have you sign contracts to then domesticate you and basically turn you into informants. You're just being punked. You're being made into servants of the feds and InfraGard. Stay there, sir. I want to talk to you, Roger. Thanks for calling. Stay with us. The good old folks at New Silver Solution. And the website is supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com. This is something that kills bacteria, viruses, you name it, well documented. They've got it down to a super small nano-sized particle. Supernaturalsilver.com. Check them out at Infowars.com. And I'm going to continue with Roger and Matt and Mark and everybody else who's holding. Roger, I wasn't jumping on you when you called in to correct me. The reason I jumped on you is I know I predicted last hour how this is going to go. And it's going to be, well, you guys, hold on just a second. You guys signed all the documents, so now you're basically our slaves. But the point is they're lying about all this previous stuff, and I've got to get the actual year, but I talked to a VFW head who won't come on air, and he said, yeah, they started having to sign forms the last 15, 20 years. He's got to pull some documents up. But the issue, and then I'm going to let you talk, and I appreciate you calling, is that they, out of the gates, are threatening the veterans who had this stuff pushed on them and given to them to go out and do services for our dead veterans. And it's bad enough to be registering them and making them, getting ready to turn the stuff in. But what's even worse is the fact that out of the gates, they're bullying them and threatening them with the law when they do so many great services. But just go ahead.
You're very correct. By the way, I'm the one that called in last week and advised you not to get waterboarded, so I know what's going on. I just made an urgent call to my commander of my VFW and requested to speak at the next VFW meeting, and I would like to challenge all VFW members to do some research, get all this stuff together, and inform their other members. That's the only way that we're going to get this stopped. We all know what's going on, especially the people who listen to your program.
Now, you're a former Marine. You called from Vietnam and then a retired police officer. You heard me break down how this is treating them like they're criminals out of the gates to get them all scared. I bet $1 million next it's going to be, we want to get you to serve us now.
Correct. They've already tried that. That's why I was an officer in the Marine Corps League, and I was on the Honor Guard, when they sent the National Guard to Iraq. They're the ones that does military funerals in Missouri, and we filled in. I did 280 funerals in 1 year.
And you get treated like a piece of filth and threatened by the BATF.
Correct. And then I got ostracized from my Marine Corps League and the VFW for speaking out 3 and 4 years ago about the same things that you talk about every day.
But I bet they're not laughing at you now.
No, they're not. And I'm getting ready to jump in big, and I'm going to get some things done. Might not help, but at least I'm going to try to get the fellow veterans, the ones, especially the VFW members, the ones that risked their life, to stand up one more time.
Well, it's a shame that we would be suckered, the American people, into wars that were questionable. And then when the tyranny is here, this is the time. I mean, if people ever wanted a chance to fight for America by speaking out at least, this is it. I mean, this is the real deal. This is D-Day. This is Red Dawn. This is happening, my friend.
A former Marine friend of mine 3 years ago had come home from Vietnam, never had been a problem, worked at one place all his life, and he finally had a nervous breakdown from PTSD after 40 years. And he couldn't work anymore. He got his 100% disability. And about 2 weeks after he got it, the BATF pulled up in front of his house and took every gun he had. And that just helped break him a little bit more.
And by the way, there's no law to do that. It's felonies under the 68 Gun Control Act. But they're now
Correct.
giving people a fake that's like they force shots on you. There's no law. They take your kids without a proper court order, and they come and take vets' guns every day. I see it in the news when there's not a law for a psychological made-up issue.
Correct.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, look, it's coming to a head. They have decided
Yes, it is.
to turn all the young cops and military and the gang members and the illegal aliens they're hiring for the military loose against the veterans. And they plan to have both sides kill each other and then bring in the I-4 after everything breaks down. And I'm telling you, folks, they're planning Reconstruction-style occupation in the United States.